Welcome back to another episode of Life in the Stands podcast. We have Jake, and although it doesn't look like it, I am still Zach, although a lot less hair. So we're excited to be back with our NBA mock draft special. We're excited to jump into this, but first, want to thank everyone for watching and listening on whatever platform you're on. Remember to like and subscribe the video or the clip or the whatever it is you're watching, and appreciate everyone's support. So with that, we're going to jump right into the NBA draft lottery. We're just going to do the 14 first picks here. So, Bender, we'll have you kick it off with our number one overall pick. And as you are picking there, we're going to pull up our mock draft simulator.
Sounds good to me. So I think this is the obvious pick for the Hawks. They will not be trading out of this pick. I think it's going to be their last chance at drafting somebody to pair with Trae Young. I think they'll go with Alex Sarr at this pick. He has the ability to be a Jaren Jackson Jr. type player, but he also has the floor of a Nick Claxton. So it's kind of a boom or bust, in my opinion, at this pick. It is a very weak draft, and you get a lot of this throughout this draft as well. So it's kind of hit or miss, and I think this is the guy they can hit on.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. I think a lot of people are expecting Alex Sarr to go with that number one pick. So that makes a lot of sense. For the Wizards, I'm going to get their big guy of the future. I really like them picking up Donovan Clingan. I think that, they haven't had just a super dominant, strong big guy on the roster. They traded away Daniel Gafford. So I think it makes sense to them to come back with Klingon and secure that for the next 4 or 5 years and just not have to worry having a strong interior presence there on that team.
Yeah, I do like him as a player. I just don't think he'll be picked that high. I'm actually going to go with the guy I think will be picked um, next, which I actually have a trade to propose here at this spot. So I think the Rockets are actually going to trade the third pick. Um, you don't have to do all of that. We can just talk through it. But they're going to trade the third pick to the Grizzlies for the number 9 pick and Marcus Smart in return. So the Grizzlies will get this pick at the number 3 spot and get Zachary Grasarche. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that name like Kendrick Perkins would. Um, but that is the guy they will go with at that spot.
All right, and that is the Grizzlies pick, technically,
Yes.
right? And then that slides that slides our last team down into that 9 slot then. So next on the clock is the Spurs. The Spurs have a really interesting draft because they have a couple of lottery picks, which is a great position for them to be in. There's a couple different ways that they could take this. I do like Reed Shepard. Dalton Connect, though, I think has more size and he's still a laser beam from the outside. He's a really good shooter. So if I'm the Spurs, I think I'm going to go with a guy like Dalton Connect. In a like a real fantasy land, I might be excited about trading away both of those lottery picks to bring in a star and then also signing, a max star and really taking a run at it with Wemby right away. But I don't think they do that. I think they take a guy at both their lottery picks.
Yeah, I think they build through the draft here. And at this number 5 pick with the Pistons, I'm actually going to take Reed Shepard, which is the guy you just mentioned. I think he has a chance to be like a generational type shooter. I call him the smaller Klay Thompson. So I think this will be where he gets picked if he drops to number 5.
Sweet. And then on to the sixth pick with the Hornets. I think Brandon Miller really did show that he can be a piece to a winning team last season. I think he showed a lot. LaMelo's always injured. So I think they're just looking for some answers kind of all around on this team. There's a couple of names I like. Dillingham is a guy that I really like to come in and help support LaMelo Ball with bringing the ball up, taking some pressure off. And another guy, like you mentioned, that I think could be generational with some shooting. Reminds me a little bit of like Tyrese Maxey coming out.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Not gonna lie, my draft board's all sorts of messed up with everybody you're picking at this moment. Which is how this goes, right? It might happen tomorrow, or today, actually. But
Bender did do a little bit more prep, so his picks are probably more accurate. But I am happy to hear that the draft board's being messed up a little bit.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But at this pick with the Blazers at number 7, where I actually had Dalton Connect going, just for your information. Um, I have Cody Williams out of Colorado going there. I think he's one of the most underrated picks in this draft. Um, I think he has the ability to be like Paul George for his ceiling. And I think he has a chance to just be an absolute superstar, and nobody's talking enough about this guy.
Yeah, yeah, really good pick there. I'm not going to think too hard on this one. The Spurs next pick, I'm going to take Stephon Castle. I think he showed out in the tournament. I think he's a great guard, another great pairing with Wemby. Not going to think too hard or too long about that one.
Yeah, maybe you didn't mess up my picks too much. I actually had him going at number 4 to the Spurs, so he still ended up there, which is good.
Deal.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna butcher another name here, but since the Grizzlies traded that pick to Houston, Houston is picking at number 9 with this pick. I think they'll get Tijane Salon out of France, which isn't exactly a convincing pick in my opinion. I think he has the ability to be like a Tobias Harris, but we obviously know what we think of Tobias Harris, so you take that as you will, and that's who they'll get at that spot.
Yeah, very fair, very fair. We go to the Jazz now with this pick, and this is a team that has enough big guys. So I think they definitely go with some sort of guard, some sort of playmaker off the dribble. Definitely in that kind of realm. Jared McCain is sitting down there, but I think I like Ron Holland a little bit more for this team. Fits the young core that the Jazz are trying to bring in. So I like Ron Holland there.
Yeah, I'm really hoping Ron Holland does not drop to that pick, if I'm being honest with you. That's my favorite player in this draft. Had him going to the Spurs at 8. Um, Spurs have a chance to do something great, is basically what I'm telling everybody in this episode.
A
At
lot of
this number
options.
11 pick to the Bulls, it's kind of a tough one. I don't really know where they want to go at this point since they just traded away Caruso for Giddey. They're very unpredictable. You don't know if they're going to trade Levine, if DeRozan's going to walk, if they're going to let Drummond go. They just have a very weird team, very weird roster. Patrick Williams might be gone. He's a restricted free agent. I think they're actually going to take Montas Buzelis from I forget where he's from, G League Unite or Ignite. Um, I don't think this guy's very good. They had him projected as a top 5 pick in this draft, but I think he should drop out of the lottery. If I'm being honest with you, he's just very average and he's not great at one specific thing. And I feel like that's what guys look for, especially in potential in players in the draft. And that's just what I think. So sorry.
Yeah. There it is. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. So on to the next pick then with the 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that they could use a big body to pair with Chet. So I think they take Zach Edey here. And I think Zach Edey ends up on the Thunder and they run it back and they have an answer for pretty much any big guy that the league might throw at them defensively anyway.
Obviously, as a Michigan fan, I hated this guy in the Big Ten for years. But I think that would be a cool pairing just because, Chet's not going to guard a heavy set big man like a Joker type guy. So I think bringing him in and with the way Edie has actually progressed in the coming years, he is showing he's an NBA caliber center. He's not just a big stiff. So that's a great pick there. I have another trade to announce, the number 13 spot. I actually have the Sacramento Kings trading the 13th pick, Harrison Barnes and Herter to the Wizards for Kyle Kuzma. Um, I think that will be their wing piece to add to Sabonis and Fox as they just re-signed Malik Monk. I think getting Kyle Kuzma would fit that young team and hopefully put them over the top to at least get into the conference finals and maybe compete for a championship next year. But with that said, the Wizards at this pick, I have getting Devin Carter out of Providence. This kid, he's only 6'2", but he kind of reminds me of a Derek White type player, like a 3-and-D, do it all type guy. And I think you cannot go wrong with this pick.
Very cool trade there. And then we're back to the Blazers with pick 14. And with pick 14, the last pick of the lottery here, I think they take Tristan da Silva out of Colorado. I think he's going to be a really solid wing. He's your stereotypical 6'8", good shooter, scoring guy that can grab a rebound and can play a little defense, hopefully with some maturing in the league with the length that he has and everything like that, the athleticism. So I like Tristan Da Silva as that last lottery pick. So there is your NBA draft lottery from Life in the
Yeah.
Stands.
De Silva is a very sneaky pick. I'll say that. I'm going to leave everybody with this. I think the NBA draft that's coming up tonight will be probably the biggest thing that happens this offseason over top of free agency. Like people usually talk about free agency and trades. I think the NBA draft has a chance to be the best part of this offseason.
It's interesting you say that because I feel like a lot of the time, the NFL draft gets so much hype, right? And the NBA draft, I feel like kind of squeaks by sometimes and doesn't get paid attention to too much. It feels like there's a lot of NBA ready, NBA caliber guys in the draft this year. Every team in the first round could get a guy that could be in their rotation down the stretch. Like that's a possibility if a draft falls in certain ways. Like there's a lot of NBA ready guys. It'll be interesting.
There's NBA ready guys, and there's also a lot of trade potential.
Right.
Wait on what the Thunder are going to do. Wait on what the Spurs might do.
The
I don't
Bulls,
know. We'll see.
the
Yeah.
Sixers, the Clippers. Well, thanks again for watching and listening. Remember to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we'll see you on the next episode.